Here we go. Let's do a sharpening tutorial. I'm doing this because I think that a lot of tutorials complicate things, and I aim this towards the beginner. First thing I do when I sharpen is that I visually inspect the edge, looking for damages, and it's hard to get this on video here, but this edge had some minor chipping, so I'd usually start on a 500 or 1000 grit stone. I prioritize to save material, so therefore I'm starting on the 1000 stone. I also noticed that there's a slight damage on the tip here, or that it's over sharpened. I don't care about it, but it's just good to know since I'm sharpening someone else's knife. So second step, once I've decided on the stone, is to find out the angle. And I like to do it this way. Usually I do it on the stone, but I do it on wood here to show you the principle. What I do is that I lay the knife almost flat to the sharpening stone, and I slowly raise the edge. And what happens is that when you hit the angle, the shadow between the edge and the board or the stone will disappear. So I know that this is approximately the angle I'm going to use when I sharpen. Another thing I did a lot early on sharpening was that I put the knife really flat on the stone and carefully pushed it towards the edge while raising the spine of the knife. Doing so, the knife will catch on the stone once you reach the angle. So here it catches. Now I know that this is about the angle. I'm not doing this on this knife because it's not my knife, but if you want to, you could also use the Sharpie and basically push the Sharpie into the edge and make a black line like so. What that does is that you can control that you're actually removing steel from the edge properly. If the black line disappears completely, you're getting the right angle. But as I said, I'm not doing that today because it's not my knife, and I don't like to paint on knives that are not mine. So 1000 grit stone, a bit of water. I look to get the angle. So that's about the angle. When I started off sharpening, I was really unsure how to do. Should I do it straight? Should I do it like this? But with time, I've come to trust myself. So now I feel confident just sharpening away like this. As I've sharpened more and more, I've stopped counting strokes. The goal of the first set of the sharpening here, or first part of the sharpening, is to create a burr. And a burr is a small build-up of steel on the opposite side. So when I'm dragging my fingertip here, I can feel almost like a sharp piece sticking out from the knife, and that's the burr. So now I know that I created a new apex. This side of the knife is done. What I do now is that I do the same thing on the other side of the knife. Now I feel for the burr again, and I can feel that there's a build-up of metal on this side. So now I created a new edge. It's really quick. So what I need to do now, since there was some damage on the blade, I'll check and see if the damage is still left, or if I need to sharpen away any damage. And looking at the edge, it looks good. There's a little damage out here. But nothing else, so I'll do a bit more sharpening just to get rid of that damage. Now I'm confident that all the damage is gone. I've also checked the small edge here, and what I want to see is that it's about the same width all along the knife, and that it's the same on both sides. Now it's going to be bigger in the tip because It was already big here when I started. Maybe damage from a previous sharpening, I don't know. So far I've been using quite a lot of pressure to sharpen because I wanted to remove some material. There's quite a burr build-up. So this is the second step. How do you remove the burr? If there's a lot of burr, I cut into the end grain of my leather strop like so. That's an excellent way of removing burr. I could also strop the blade just a couple of times to get rid of it. Or you could remove the burr by doing a few light strokes on the stone like so. So the second part I'm doing with the same stone, after doing the kind of the removal and setting the new edge, is that I'm going to do just some light strokes on each side. So I've barely applied any pressure at all. And what I'm doing to finish is that I do a few strokes with the edge first, with almost no pressure at all. I finish off this stone by doing just a few strokes to remove the burr. Usually I wouldn't do this test now, but if you're not comfortable sharpening, or if you haven't sharpened that much, I recommend to test the edge at this stage. If the knife isn't sharp now, it won't get sharp, or it will be hard to get it sharp, so get it sharp on the first stone. But as you can see, the knife is really sharp now. In order to finish off, I'm going to do a little bit of polishing on a 3000 grit stone. And I think that's suitable given what steel this knife has. I basically do the same way as I did on the 1000 stone, but I'm not that particularly interested in getting a burr build-up. Maybe there'll be a burr, maybe it won't be a burr. I don't really care. But the same procedure, quite aggressive, sharpening at first. Yeah, and there's a small burr. At this stage, I'm not really that bothered by checking if the bevel is still equal on both sides, because I'm not removing that much material, so it shouldn't be a factor here. I'll still do a quick deburr, and now I'll do the light strokes, as with the 1000 stone. Light on the other side. And then a few super light edge leading strokes. Now it's not an ideal setup here, but the final thing I do is that I hone it on the leather. On the leather strop, you only hone edge trailing. If you hone edge leading, you will cut into your leather. If you do really light honing, you should have the same angle as on your stone, But if you hone with pressure, you need to have a lower angle, because when you press into it, the leather curls up around the edge and creates a different angle from when you're applying no pressure. So if you're pressing down, have a lower angle. But that's it for sharpening. The knife should be sharp now, so no problem to cut like that. I think it's better to test cut with actual produce, unless you're eating paper. So small cherry tomato, no problem cutting. So that's it.